Yo, what is up everybody? Popo here, bring guys a new video, and today we're going to look at the Liverpool regionals. Let's go. Welcome everybody, and today we're going to be looking at the Liverpool regionals. Unfortunately, I wasn't really able to watch too much of it because I had a PC that I helped set up with Leaf yesterday. If you want to check out what happened there, I will leave links Twitch in the underbar where you can watch all the matches that happened. It was a fantastic event. We had 26 people. There were some really good players that were there, and yeah, it was an amazing time. So definitely go check that out. That'll be down below. So I didn't really get to watch the top cut or anything like that. I know what won and I know what kind of topped, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, we're going to talk about the usage stats. Of course, we got the Flutter main once again at 67%. And if you go look back at my prediction video, your boy put it right at 67%. So I was right on the nose with the Flutter main. Same with the Ogrepon, though I did not have Ogrepon as number 2. I did have the numbers correct. So like the number 3, I had Ogrepon and I had 38%, and it was 37.99, but it was Incineroar instead. So but we see Flutter main, Ogrepon, Incineroar, Tornadus, both Urshifus again, but this time single strike taking the first position. Farigiraf, Rillaboom, Chen Pao, Raging Bolt, Amoonguss, and King Gambit rounding out the top 12. Really interesting here. It's pretty much what you expect for the Pokemon, but not the order. And Raging Bolt kind of continuing to drop, but at the same time, like, gaining some good win percentages, whereas last week the win percentages weren't as good. So Raging Bolt kind of like in this flux. I think people are really trying to figure it out. Sohype has a really good set that we saw on Leaf stream yesterday with Assault Vest and, you know, Snarl and stuff. So that could be the set that starts taking off. This thing is so bulky. If used properly, it can be really strong. Same goes with the Amoonguss. They have the same usage, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Amoonguss were on that Raging Bolt team, because they pair very well together, as Amoonguss can take some of the attacks that Raging Bolt can't and kind of redirect those to itself, especially those fairy type attacks. And we see they both had really good win percentages, but same with the King Gambit here with the 53%. Top finish for Chen Pao was 14th and less than 50% winning, so not a great showing for Chen Pao. Flutter main still at that 50% on 67% of the teams. It dropped to 60%, I believe, on day 2, so we saw Flutter main dropping out of that top, well, it was still the top spot, but out of the top contention with that 50%. Ogrepon, we had the 51%. Sorry, it was a long day yesterday. Your boy's a little tired. Incineroar hovering around that 50 as well, being one of the top cores right here. You see at 30% of teams had both the Flutter main and the Incineroar. Tornadus right about there too. So the top 4 Pokemon all hovering at that 50%. So it's win or loss if you got these on your team kind of thing. They can all be ran on the same team pretty efficiently too. But then we see a little discrepancy here. We see the single strike with 52, but that rapid strike dropping down to 47%. Same with that Farigiraf. And yes, Farigiraf won the whole thing and yet is still at 47%. That shows that a lot of people might have been using teams inspired or just Wolfe's team and not really putting out the results that that you would think that they would. Rillaboom also dropping down below 50% is a little rough for it. And as we go further, we have the Ogrepon and the Landorus around 50% with that Blood Moon Ursaluna. Indeedee going 51%, so Indeedee and Psyspam doing better than average, which is not very surprising. And then we have Entei dropping down to the 17th slot, but also only 47% winning, showing that the dominant fire type might be that Incineroar. We kind of slept on him a little bit. We got the Hearthflame, of course, to now vying for that same position. But the biggest, I wouldn't say surprise, but probably the biggest increase in kind of usage and win is probably the Glimmora. I know it did pretty well at the last regionals, but having a 54% win percentage. And at the PC that I went to yesterday, it was pretty significant, Glamora in general. So Glamora really showing up in this, and I would expect to see more Glamoras. And a lot of these Glamoras were without Dondozo. So this thing is now, you know, not relegated to that Dondozo kind of poison stall team, and is now kind of branching out into its own Pokemon and just being very interesting in the meta. And I'm really excited to see where this thing goes. Next we have Archaludon, who is under 50%, but that's a pretty good win percentage for something like Archaludon that needs other Pokemon to kind of activate it. Gouging Fire, I think its usage went up a little bit. I don't think it was being used that much. If we look back 2 regionals ago, it had like no usage. And now 53.43%. I said Gouging Fire was going to be okay in this one. It was better than okay. So Dragonite. Now here's the biggest drop probably going on since Regulation F began. Only 9% usage and only 47% win percentage. So that's very similar to what we see in Chien-Pao with the 49. Chien-Pao is branching out a little bit more, of course, 140 teams. So that means that there were, you know, what, 80 teams that did not include the Dragonite with the Chien-Pao. So Dragonite's kind of being like, anymore, and that's kind of sad. Mrs. Popo loves Dragonite. Iron Hands having a huge increase in usage thanks to the second place finish that it had last week, but only 48% win percentage. So Iron Hands still kind of feeling weak in the meta. I think it's just one of those teams that, like, it works on a specific team, but if you just try to splash it back on teams, it's not working as well. And a lot of people, I mean, we could check this. A lot of people are running that clear amulet. We had 16, so 30% of them were running that clear amulet. And that means this thing is just not great against the Flutter Mains anymore, because it just kind of just gets knocked out by them. Next we have Chi-Yu using in some rising in some usage here with the 52.55%. We got 51, so this is just showing that it is really strong, this size spam, and you have to be prepared for it. It's not enough to just have that Urshifu Dark or that Incineroar. You're gonna need something a little bit more to deal with this, because it is really here. Torkoal coming and showing out 57.8. This is actually the highest for any Pokemon above like 20 usage or whatever, because there's some that have like 2 or 3 usage and they did really well. But Torkoal, fantastic, 57.8 usage, and we see it being used with the Indeedee size spam sets. You also got the Lilycole stuff going on, so it's doing really well. And we see Charcoal being that #1 item with the Eject Pack, which has seen usage by teams using like Jumpluff and stuff. So yeah, that was on 5 of the teams, 11%. We see Specs, Flame Plate, does same as Charcoal, doesn't really matter. A Covert Cloak, that could have been interesting. I would have liked to see that, but only 90% of the teams running Eruption. I guess there were some like support sets out there with Helping Hands. Maybe did we see Clear Smog? We see Fissure. 3 of them were out there running Fissure. I can respect that. You see some Fire Terror, some Grass Terrors, Drought on every single one of them, and just doing big things on Torkoal here. So really impressive showing by Torkoal. Goldango, a Pokemon I ran yesterday that felt really weak for me. 49%, only 5% of the teams. We could see this usage going up into the next regionals. Hisuian, Arcanine, actually won the PC that I was at yesterday, and 50%. We could see this increase as well. This thing is doing a lot of damage, and it's good into some of the meta. Pelipper continuing to have positive win percentages, but not really increasing in usage. Ursaluna, regular Ursaluna form, actually had better win percentage than Ursaluna Blood Moon, but used on way less teams, and maybe we could see them kind of balance out a little bit as people prepare more for the other Ursaluna. Maybe this Ursaluna starts taking that place where you get a physical attacker instead of the special attacker. Another Pokemon that I'm surprised hasn't been rising a lot in usage is actually Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon has showed out in the last couple of regionals with a really good win percentage, but not really big usage. Only 26 usages. There were 658 teams, so 26 is not that great with only 4. And yeah, we're seeing booster energies mostly, but we've seen a couple of clear amulets. We got knockoff stuff. It can do a lot of different things, you know, Tailwind, it can set up a bunch of stuff. Throat Chop actually might be a decent metacall at the moment, just because of the fact that it hits Blood Moon Ursaluna and also hits those Farigirafs, especially Wolfe's Farigiraf, that uses that Hyper Voice to really output damage. So, and then we have Dozo, and this is why I said 20 or up, because Dozo at 19 has a 58.89%, really coming back, getting a top 8 finish this time after not even having a top or a day 2 finish back in Charlotte last week. So Dozo really coming out and being like, yeah, I'm still here. And this is a sad statistic. Iron Bundle, who is one of the best Pokemon in all the regulations prior, 40% win percentage. It just doesn't have it anymore. It's not there. It's just missing that oomph. So those are some really interesting stats. And if we go to win percentage here, we see this one really confused me because I looked through this a little bit before I started the video. Hisuian Typhlosion 6-2. What happened? Why did they drop? Did they drop in the 8th round? They could have made day 2 with Hisuian Typhlosion, and they were doing really well. And this is their team was Torkoal, Tornadus, King Gambit, Raging Bolt, and the Lilligant, and they were doing bits. You know what I mean? they were doing it. But they dropped, and then we had another Articuno make day 2. Here's the team. I think it was very similar, if not the exact same team, except we have Rocky, Helmet, and Sheer Cold, which those were definitely not run last week by the teams that were using Articuno. I think there was 2 of them. We saw a Talonflame out there. Talonflame with size spam. I don't know what the mouse was doing. I'm not really sure what the purpose of the mouse was, but if you know, let me know. But this is Life Orb, Brave Bird, and Flare Blitz. You get the Tailwind, of course, too. So really interesting set there. And that's the same mouse. So that was the only mouse hold. So no mouse apes were brought. You had a Mamoswine going 6-3 as well. Loaded dice with that Icicle Spear. Also Haze. So that's a pretty good tech on it. This person was actually interviewed in one of the earlier rounds, and they said they were bringing Mamoswine. It was doing really well. Asked if they were using the Oblivious because it can't be taunted, and they're actually using Thick Fat. They did not say that on there. Poison type is okay. And it was run with these, so you had the Flutter, Chi-Yu, and the Raging Bolt. You can kind of redirect some attacks away as well, so not too bad there. We got Regirock as the next one. We got Body Press, Iron Defense, Protect, Rock Slide, so just really interesting. Of course, it does get that clear body, grass, and it was being used with a Torkoal that could boost up, I guess, your 2 Paradox Mons. And it can boost up your Incineroar as well. This team's really weak to ground though, but it's still got a 6-3, so pretty impressive. We have Bronzong, a couple of Bronzongs. Quarterstone Mask had a 63% win percentage. That's pretty impressive for 10 usage. Not bad. 70% were running these 3 with it. Follow Me, Ivy Cudgel were on every single one of them, with Spiky Shield only be on 8. Were they just... What were they doing? Were they just running attacks, maybe? Power Whip, Wood Hammer, Double Kick? Somebody was running Double Kick out there. Grassy Glide. Times are hard. You gotta run the Double Kick sometimes. The Iron Juggulus, which I thought would see an increase after Brendan Zhang did so well with it last week. 61% win percentages, so this thing is showing that it is actually a good Pokemon. Maybe people should be looking into it. And then Galar Weezing also having a 60%. And it was being used with those. I really enjoyed... I tried a team with this and with Incineroar. Incineroar had the ability shield, so it was pretty decent. But it was just missing something, so I didn't end up going forward with the team. Jumpluff doing all right. Suicune showing up. Executor, somebody out there 5-4 with Executor. Expanding Force Executor. And DD setting that terrain, of course. It's really interesting because he's not the strongest in the world. We got Monkey Dory out there with a Dondozo team. So that's pretty cool. It had the Glamora too, so you could get the double poison types. Pretty weak to ground, but if you have like a grass Dondozo, this could be okay. We had one Como out there, which is really surprising as well, seeing as how there was a pretty popular Como team going around. So yeah. Oh, you know what? There were more than one Como, but they get disqualified, right? Because so they're not going to show up on the statistics. And if you don't know about that, Alex Gomez and Eric Rios got actually what's it called? Disqualified from the tournament for having cloned Pokemon. They had a Tinglu that was cloned apparently. So because there's a glitch in the game with Smeargle, I guess I didn't know about it until that. So I don't know how it works or anything. Items, top item, Assault Vest. I believe that was the top item last time. Focus Edge being number 2, Booster Energy, and then we see the Wellspring Mask, which never makes sense to me because shouldn't the Wellspring Mask? Okay, it does this time. I think last time it didn't equal out and it was kind of weird, but we see Choice Specs in the top 6. So if you're looking at a team, those are the items you want to use. All right. Let's get right into it. Oh, also Terra types, Fairy, Water, Grass, the top ones. Fairy being 21%, that's pretty impressive. So we had Antonio Sanchez winning it with Wolfe Glick's exact team that he won Charlotte with. So this is no joke, the exact team. I believe that they said that they just took Wolfe's team and made it, and there they are. So really impressive by them. So yeah, I mean, it's a team everybody knows, so people have prepped for it, and still being able to win with that team is actually kind of scary because I faced this team yesterday. I faced somebody. There was a couple of people at the PC that were using Wolfe's team. None of them topped, so it just showed that, like, you have to be a really good player to play a team that is known, or else people are just going to have the counters and know what to do against it and just be able to outplay that team. Even if you are the better player, you can often just lose to just people having the matchup advantage. So really impressive. Facing top tier players, playing a known team is insanity, and winning it is also insanity. Next, Flavio Del Pidio. Sorry if I'm saying any of the names wrong. I really do apologize. But we see kind of a similar core as Wolfie's team, except that we have the Wellspring, and we have Heatran getting second place, and Baxcalibur. Is Baxcalibur back, boys? Is Baxcalibur back? Because there he is. I mean, pretty interesting team. This is a team I wouldn't like pick out of a lineup being like that one's gonna get second, you know. So really impressive showing right there. I like the team. I wish I got to see the finals because I would have liked to see that matchup. Eduardo Cunha, the former world champion, coming out. He did have that gold dango there, so making that meta call, though it did not work out. We have the Dark Urshifu, and we have, of course, that Raging Bolt. Pretty standardish team. I mean, except for, I guess, that gold dango. Is gold dango not super standard right now? Sorry, I was hearing something. Guillermo Castilla was using a pretty standard team. I think this is just almost Stefan Mott's team except the Landorus. I could be wrong. I mean, not Stefan Mott, sorry. Sohib's team except for the Landorus. It's very similar, at least. And using that Arcanine. So Arcanine getting top 4, though there are 3 Incineroars in the top 4 as well. So still fighting over who the best one is. And then we're going to see the first team that actually has that Glamora, and it's using the Glamora plus the Chiyu to do massive amounts of damage with that Meteor Beam. That thing can just rip through many a Pokemon, even Pokemon that resist it. It could just one-shot them pretty easily. So going full aggressive with this team, looks like it just wants to put out as much damage as you possibly can. Here we have a Psy-Spam team, as well as that Ogerpon Fire, and you got the Urshifu Water to kind of make that Fire Water, but you don't have, well, Fire Water Grass Core, sorry, from those two, but you don't really have any dark users, so you're kind of relying on your 2 size spams to beat other size spams. So yeah, that's going to be the way you get through those. Now we have a Registeel team, and we see the re-rise of Cresselia, who has dropped off significantly of recent, with just better Trick Room users out there. It's really interesting to see Cresselia up there. It can heal, which is one of the things that Registeel lacks, right? The Cresselia has that Lunar Blessing. It can get rid of burns, it can get rid of sleeps, it can get rid of all that stuff to help support your Registeel and your other Pokemon, of course, but Registeel is the main target of that team. And then we have the Glamora Dondozo team in the top 8 with the Dark Urshifu, and you have the Tornadus, which is a little bit different. Usually this slot would be Chi-Yu, or it would be something like Chen Power or something like that. So to have the Tornadus here, just getting your Tailwind, you can go Tailwind, go into Dondozo. Maybe this is a slower, bulkier Dondozo. It really works out that way. We have another Arcanine Goldango here, but we also have this team is really interesting, actually. I did see this one a little bit right before I went to the PC because I had to help set up and stuff. So but yeah, he has the Arcanine, the Goldango, he has the Iron Hands, the Roaring Moon, and my boy out here with the Galarian Articuno for the Trick Room. It's a really, really cool team. You could do some really cool stuff where you have, you know, your Iron Hands plus you have your Articuno, and if they want to intimidate you, you just get a boost to special attack. So really, really strong. Next, we have a pretty standardish team that I believe this was actually the team that got second place last week. So yeah, this is, I still think it's an interesting team. Like I think if this team is like worked on a little bit and some people do a little bit more tweaking to it, this could be the team. But we'll have to wait and see. But that's the team that got second, and they were, once again, same with the Wolf thing, got 10th with the team that's known. Is very, very difficult. We have a Torkoal. We have this person just wants to spam, right? They just want to size spam. They just want to eruption spam. That's all they want to do. They just want to spam. They want to press the buttons and just like hope everything dies on the field. So really interesting team. Has a lot of dark weaknesses, but I guess that's where you come in with your King Gambit and a little bit with your Torkoal to stop other King Gambits. Next, we have another size spam team, but they're using double genies. And we got an Araquanid Porygon 2. Porygon 2 really showing out. I used that as well yesterday. It felt so good. I do want to fine-tune the Porygon because I think it could be actually pretty insane Pokemon. It just lives everything. It's crazy. And Araquanid just does a lot of damage. So this is a really cool team. We're seeing Heatrans coming back. What's that a sign of? Why are Heatrans coming back? Is it because people are using the Fire Ogerpon or what? I don't know why the Heatrans are coming back because it just feels kind of bad. And we see Landorus getting a 13th. This is Landorus T, who, if we remember from the last video, was at the bottom of the list, like one of the worst Pokemon, like 198th finish, like terrible, just didn't do well. Not that 198th is bad, but I mean overall stat-wise, it was like 30% win percentage or something. So not great. We got Joe getting 14th using a Dragonite Chen Pao team. We see that has the Gouging Fire, most likely, since it's all physical attackers on this team besides your one Amoonguss, that is going to be the Howl. You're going to boost up your boys, and you're just going to try to get out as much damage as you possibly can out of them. So really, really strong team. Next, we have another like Trick Room kind of spammy team, but we do see that that Quarterstone Ogerpon there, who's going to round out the team. You do have some ground weaknesses on this team, including that, because when it does Terra, it is weak to ground. So could be a pretty tough team to navigate, because you got to keep away from those weaknesses as you have no ground resist at all, maybe through Terra. And then number 16th, we have another Howl team. You know, Luca, was it Luke? Is it Luke? I think it's Luke. Is it Luca? They popularized this last week from Charlotte. And yeah, it seems like people are just trying their own variations. And we got the Flare main. And then Ross here, this is that Articuno team, so credit to them for getting 17th. It would have been nice if they won one more, so they could have had the chance of getting top 8, because that would have been really cool. So really interesting top 8. Still a lot of diversity in the top cuts. We're seeing different archetypes throughout the whole thing. There's not really like, are any of these the same team? No, none of them are the same team. They're all different, completely different. Dozo, we have Registeel, we have Psy Spam, we have Glamora special attackers. This might be balanced. This might be balanced at this point. This could be balanced. Another kind of balancy team. This is more of a standard team. Then we have, you know, the Heatran Baxcalibur team. And then we have Wolfe's team. So it's all different. Everybody up there is different. Even going down, like, it's just different all the way until 12th, where it's very similar to the Psy Spam team up here. So, like, it's just different stuff, and it's really exciting to have a meta like this. So I'm excited to see what happens at the next regionals. But until then, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you guys thumbs it up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.